Hello and welcome to the Sideboard, here for the Players' Championship. I'm Ken Crocker, here with our Las Vegas Invitational winner, and just punched his ticket last week, Caleb Scherer. Caleb, how you feeling this morning?
Oh, I'm feeling amazing.
I bet after last weekend.
Oh, yes.
So, awesome win last weekend. Now you're here in Roanoke to try to take a little bit more money from people.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's see what you're bringing with Legacy. So, Legacy is the first format. Everyone gets to see deck lists, so let's see what you brought. And it's looking like, to the surprise of pretty much no one, that you decided to bring Storm. So I guess the real question is not really the numbers right now, but pretty much everyone put you on Storm in Legacy.
Yeah.
In a format like this where there's like 16 players, so you're trying to face 15 other people, and they all have access to deck lists after round one, why did you decide to stick with something that people pretty much already knew you were playing?
Well, first of all, of course, being so familiar with the deck and in Legacy, play to your strengths is usually the best call. But even more importantly, in this tournament, I didn't expect almost anyone else to be on Storm either. So in everyone's best interest, it's not going to be, hey, there's going to be 6 Storm pilots, so all the hate's just going to come at me. So that was
your
kind of
feeling was like, look, I know people know I'll be on Storm, but no one else will be, so like,
correct.
Your odds of actually running into me, 1 in 16, obviously once we figure out pods and whatnot, it won't.
Exactly.
So you're just kind of hoping like they're going to hurt themselves if they try to put more hate against you. So hopefully they'll cut back.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And, just the turn one, like not just turn one, but game one potential of this deck is just insane.
So even if they have hate, they may not get to play spells.
Yeah, your minimum win percentage is still pretty great.
All right. So let's go through your list in particular, because certain Storm lists have, a couple cards here that are different. Obviously, Brainstorm, Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, pretty staples, 4s of each. Brainstorm's a really good card, doesn't matter what deck you're playing. But in this one, we have a Reign of Filth. Now, Urza Saga, so we know that it's already broken in some sort of way, but like, this is not a card that you see quite often. You see it every now and then, but why did you decide to play Reign of Filth?
Well, my reasoning being actually, kind of the technology came from looking at grinding station lists, kind of another more slow version of Storm.
Okay.
And kind of one thing I felt was lacking, actually, as you'll see here, with I run 2 Dark Petitions.
Sure.
So having like the 5 mana upfront start cost means that having like 2 rituals is pretty much what you need. You can't just start with an LED. So like not going up to the 9th ritual, I've always felt that I'm just a little short on mana, so just going up to that to have much better ratios against having the 2 Dark Petitions as well.
Fair enough, yeah, because Dark Petitions has seen a lot of play recently. It's seeing more play in Standard nowadays, and it's seen a lot of play in Vintage, so I have to assume the Dark Petitions have been very good for you.
Oh, they have been amazing. Basically, the best thing to happen to this deck since Past in Flames, and I'm just extremely happy to finally be able to put away Grim Tutor. So
that $300 on Grim Tutor too is a little.
Replace it with a dollar card.
Yeah,
Great.
there you go. So you're also running. We saw earlier that you're running 3 Cabal therapies, and you're also running 3 Duress. So normally the package is to run 7 discard spells, but you're only running 6. Is there any reason for that? Is it because you'll know kind of what your opponents are playing?
Actually, I've switched down to 6 for the past like 2 months now in the format. Kind of after the banning of Dig Through Time, you really don't need as much discard in your deck, since they're not kind of coming back in with, oh hey, dig, get force blue card, or even just force spell pierce with their blue card in hand and stuff like that. So that's kind of my reasoning, is less hate, just more resilience of going faster. Hence, like even the Reign of Filth as well in the main.
Fair enough. So obviously, Past in Flames, like you said, great card. One of the reasons to play the deck. 4 Ponder, only 2 Preordained. So Preordained's a weird card in Storm decks. You'll see some that don't play any. You'll see some that play the full 4. Why did you choose 2?
For me, 2, basically because what I like to have in my Storm deck is at minimum 14 quote-unquote cantrips in blue. Okay. So you kind of have the default 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, no-brainers. Everyone's just jam them.
Yeah.
Also, like in this deck, since information is so key, 4 Gitaxian Probe is very, very good. So that's kind of like your 12 locked-in slots. And basically then what you get are 2 flex slots for 2 other cantrips, and sometimes a 3rd. Which in this case I went with Reign of Filth for the 3rd, and I like the 2 Preordains just because, again, trying to speed up. And sometimes what's actually interesting is triggering Spell Mastery on like turn 1 or 2 when you're just going really really
Trying
fast
to
and you
go-
don't have if you have
yeah.
a ritual light draw, sometimes it's cast this on turn 1, turn 2 the Dark Writ, and then I can go off with Dark Petition in the land and a Lotus Petal. So that's kind of my reasoning there with running just the 2 to also keep the ratios about the same at 14 cantrips.
Fair enough. So obviously we could talk about the lands here in a second, but so back to the fact that people knew you were playing this deck. So there's a bunch of there's a couple storm win conditions. Obviously the win condition everyone plays, Tendrils of Agony, just kill your opponent. Some people play Brain Freeze, which doesn't see a lot of play because of Embercool.
Yeah.
But was there any thought about just somebody hating you out completely? Somebody playing like Leyline of Sanctity, so you just couldn't win against them? And obviously, the Leyline of Sanctity is a card that's pretty good. People play Thoughtseize, people play those kind of spells all the time. So, was there any thought of adding an additional win condition to the Storm deck?
I have thought about it, and in the past, I have actually tried 1 Empty and 1 Tendrils main. But even though in this tournament, of course, everyone knowing that I'm going to be on Storm, I still just want to always have game 1 the most efficient killing machine, which
Sure.
is minimize win conditions, maximize basically the entire engine. So that's why I always like to just run as little as possible, actually, like even no matter what the field. And if they have Leyline game 1, I'll play into that variance. So
Fair enough. So obviously you got your duels and fetches.
Yeah.
You're strictly on the 2 Underground Sea, 1 Volk, 2 Island, 1 Swamp.
correct.
Not really worried about getting Blood Moon. That's not going to happen to you very
yeah.
often. The question is really, do you think you have enough swamp density for such a card like Reign of Filth?
I actually feel that I do, mainly because also Reign of Filth, since it gives all your lands
Sure.
sack. So, and kind of one thing that's really cool is you don't really need black mana until the turn you're going off. And against a lot of decks with, say, kind of Punishing Permission and Spell Pierce Days, you're going to be fetching a bunch of basics to begin with. So you're actually going to have 3 to 4 lands by the time you're going off a lot of times. And this way it kind of gives you that reassurance. And a lot of times, even if you're facing down a Wasteland deck, you'll just fetch Basic Island. Oh, you see, now's when my black mana matters, cast my maybe Reign of Filth, and then I have 3 black available, which is very, very handy.
All right, so obviously Storm's one of those decks that's pretty hard to sideboard in. So let's check out your sideboard. Right here, obviously just sticks right out. There were no green mana producing lands in the main.
Oh, yeah.
There obviously going to be one later in the sideboard, but you have 3 green cards here in your sideboard. So just tell me about what you're bringing in these cards against. Like, what are you bringing in Xanax Swarm against?
So for Xanath Swarm, in this case, what it's best against for me is either the Miracles matchup, or in particular for this tournament, I was expecting 1 or 2 Sneak and Show type players. So that's where Xanath Swarm really shines, since they can't really reliably deal with a creature, unlike Delver decks and so forth that will always usually leave in set of bolts.
Couple bolts.
Yeah, since Lava Spike is still a great card against you. So that's kind of my reasoning for the 2 swarms, or for those matchups in particular.
Okay, the Carpet of Flowers?
The Carpet of Flowers was since I'm also expecting quite a bit of Delver, in that this shines way more as kind of what I was saying, like they have bolts. So since I have the ability to metagame again against my opponents now too, like they can against me, I can split the difference, so I'm not stone dead, because this card, Carpet of Flowers, is not as good against Sneak and Show and Miracles with my sideboard plan that I have now. So I can just alternate between which one is actually better in the matchups.
And then is Abrupt Decay mostly just to hit the Chalices, hate kind of cards?
Exactly. It's here for basically if they have Chalice of the Void or
Counterbalance.
Exactly. Miracles and that precisely.
So obviously you're running the 4th Cabal Therapy here in the sideboard, 2 Chain of Vapor. These are pretty standard. Obviously the Cabal Therapy usually is in the main, but we can tell why it's here.
Yes.
The 3 Disfigure.
Yes.
Now normally Disfigure, it shows up as a 1 or 2 of in the sideboards. You chose to run 3. Is there something you're looking to, something looking your kill, you're thinking people are going to metagame
exactly. Normally for myself, even as you're saying, I run 1 to 2 Disfigure as well on average, but in this tournament I'm expecting about 3, maybe at least 3 Infect decks. So therefore they're as fast as you, so I need some way to interact, and I usually have the 2 and 2 split, but this card actually can kill Inkmoth Nexus, which is a very, very big problem for us on turn 2 kills. Exactly.
And then finally you have Empty the Warrens, Tropical Island. So you do have the additional kill condition in your sideboard, just no way to get it in game 1, so you're just kind of hoping to play the odds.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it sounds good. It sounds like obviously you've won many a tournament and done very well in the Open Series Storm. So we wish you nothing but the best of luck here today.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for taking the time to side us in from the sideboard,
Anytime.
Caleb. All right, you guys stay tuned for more action here at the Players Championship.